And I mean it when I say this, that Julia Roberts went from pretty woman to petty woman based on her recent behavior, based on her recent statements about what she said toward the general public, and how she's getting very defensive. Ever since The Fall continues, of course, for the entirety of the media, the entirety of the film industry / Hollywood, and how all these different producers, writers, directors, actors, and actresses, and more are really beginning to get very frustrated with the fact that the general public, the majority of the public, mind you, really are just not having it anymore when it comes down to Hollywood. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, we already talked about how Julia Roberts lost a lot of roles between Universal and Columbia Pictures for 2 romantic comedy films and 1 sci-fi epic movie, all of which are getting completely rehashed right now after Julia got kicked out of those projects and is no more associated with Universal and Columbia. Now, what's interesting about this is that we know that Julia Roberts has been getting very defensive, much like how I described before with a lot of these actors and producers, directors. But what's interesting here has a lot more to do with her getting very personal with the public, getting very much involved with the fact that she just can't come to the facts, or can't come to the point of registering the facts, that nobody wants to hear politics from an actress or an actor. That's just what it boils down to, right? Nobody is interested in that. Leave it up to the politicians is what it really should be all about, right? So, focusing on Julia Roberts, again, we know that she has been very close with George Clooney for many, many years, and she continues to say very ludicrous things out there that's not helping anybody. Let's jump into this. Now, with actresses like Julia Roberts already heading into damage control over the recent backlash that she received as Hollywood continues to fall, one monumental development now involves her frustrated response after losing millions of fans that were recently confirmed through recent statistical data from streaming services, where Julia Roberts' films and their viewership fell to a historic low. Julia recently delivered the following in the aftermath of that new development that was presented to her and her team. I think that we need to come to terms with the fact that this country, especially now in 2025, is very misogynistic, she says, who are afraid of women and those that are coming from toxic males, that don't have any values, and it has impacted so many upcoming actresses and established ones like myself, and it's extremely disheartening and frustrating at the same time, just watching so many people trying to convince others, and successfully doing so to leave those like myself in the projects that I have worked on that aren't getting the support that they once did. It's a very unfair time that we live in. I am proud to be great friends with George. Of course, she's talking about George Clooney, who is an open male feminist, who supports women in everything they fight for, and I just think we need more men and women like that to look up to. This common trend that we are seeing now by humiliating actors and many talents in this industry on live television and or social media, I think it's a living example of what they fear. I will continue to stand up for what's right, even if it costs me those that have been loyal to me over the years. So guys, before I move on, this is sounding very similar already to what Mark Hamill spewed, to what Will Ferrell threw out there, all the garbage that he talked about how he's not backing down, he has no regrets about what he actually talked about when it came down to politics, and how really, he just threw it in your face. I mean, he really didn't care at all about making that commercial that was so in your face, right? I'm sure that you all saw it. And the same exact thing happened with Julia Roberts, in her commercial with politics, promoting to lie to your spouse on who you voted for. I thought that was absolutely offensive, and a lot of Americans also thought that too. But what's interesting about this is that, to top things off, is that she's pointing out again, for the second time now, that George Clooney is a male feminist. Now, look, it seems like that she doesn't want to give George a shot to defend himself. It seems like she's either doing this, either through not knowing the fact that it's making things worse, or knowing the fact that this is going to put George in a harder spot. Who knows? But calling him a male feminist is only going to make him look weaker. It's going to make him look more pathetic. Especially the fact that she's saying this and he can't say things for himself is very revealing. Now, moving on, she goes on to continue, because you have to look at this way. If they don't respect your values, then you, of course, are they really even fans? That's something that you have to think about when you are making such a large decision to stick with what you are fighting for and what you believe in when it comes to politics. And I show no signs with myself of stopping that movement. I really am just going to keep moving forward until we are able to live a new day and in a new era. This new phase of who's in office, well, I just think it's wrong, and it's going to be a rough 4 years, but you just can't give up. Nothing is forever, and we will have another chance in 2028, and I'm going to prepare for that, because I love my country, and for those that find that offensive, and for the politics that I believe in, then I think it would just be best for them to leave, because they just don't understand core values and morals, and what it means to be a common human being, with emotions. This is the value of being an actress, since we understand all of these things. So for all of those that criticize George and myself, I think you have to look in the mirror, and you have to look in a new direction of what it means to be a human, because we have to go by a series of rules. I think more people need to do the proper research to truly just understand what's going on here and why just so many are being too easily convinced that those in this industry, she's talking about the film industry, those in this industry are the villains or something. It's just not the case at all, and part of their lies. So basically she's saying that it's part of their lies, as in the critics, as in those that are speaking up, that they want nothing to do with supporting Hollywood anymore, at least for a couple of years, if not many more than that. The reason why she's really getting that defensive is because, well, it's a way of coping with the fact that they know their careers are shot, they know their careers are over. That's why a lot of studios are dropping these actresses, these actors, even these directors, writers, and producers that got way too involved in politics, and they're focusing now more on new talent that does not engage in politics, that doesn't even have a history of politics. And I pointed this out too, and this is a very good point. Even if these actors got on their best behavior, you can't erase the past. They have a history of doing all that nonsense, and it just comes across as disingenuous if they did disengage in politics, right? It would just look like that they're doing it just to do it so they can gain the respect of their fans and get back into the business. That's basically what it all boils down to, right? So overall, I think it's going to be a very interesting month, so to speak, where we have a lot of these actors and actresses really getting more defensive after, you know, they're trying to just grasp the fact that this is happening, that there is indeed, you know, a new good era coming for, you know, us, not so well for Hollywood, not so well for the media, and that's exactly what they see, and they're afraid of it. You know, they're the ones to say that we are afraid, they are afraid. That's really what it really all is all about. So again, Julia Roberts, nobody cares about what she says when it comes down to politics, but just like Will Ferrell or just like Mark Hamill, you know, two insufferable actors, by the way, they really just put the fans on blast, those that were loyal to them, and they don't even care if they lose fans. So what does that tell you about their character, right? And the same exact thing goes for Julia Roberts. So I would love to hear what everyone has to say about this, about Julia really talking down to the public and making an embarrassment of George Clooney and saying all these wacky things about politics and not backing down. I would love to hear your input on that, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.